Deanna.
I want to ask for an opinion about how, have you had thoughts or conversations around how we negotiate and navigate this conversation around standardized testing? That is such an accountability piece, and this idea of doing community math, ethno-math, right? The funds of knowledge. How do we bridge, how do you bridge?
Education in mathematics is a localized enterprise that was never intended to be standardized. I want to begin there. Like, we have to start by saying standardization on its own is the antithesis to the complexity and nuance of learning. And I can say that and also say that the issue is not always the assessments per se. It's the lack of trust in the diverse approaches to the instruction to know that it can surpass the assessment, right? So I want to hold two things at once. I don't believe in hyper-standardization. I do believe in assessments. Now, if an assessment happens to be standardized, so be it. I will utilize localized methods and tools to surpass the expectations of the standard, and so the standard gets met. I think people oftentimes have this this binary, like, I either don't like standards, so I would just ignore it completely, and if the kids don't do well on the assessment, so be it. No. I can critique standards or standardization, not standards. I can critique standardization while still believing in the optimization of the localized approaches to surpass the benchmark. And you have to believe it, right? To me, it's a belief issue here. It's like, oh, Chris, let's focus on funds of knowledge and ethnomathematics instead of the assessment. Then I want to ask you, do you believe that ethnomathematics and funds of knowledge actually is more rigorous than the assessment? You see, your belief shapes your reality. If you believe it's less than, then you approach in a way where it cannot meet the benchmark. Well, I believe it's greater than. I believe it's more rigorous than. I believe it's more excellent than. And so I can use localized tools to meet existing benchmarks while critiquing the concept of standardization. I can also meet and surpass existing benchmarks. And I want us to be able to, walk and chew gum at the same time, right? You can critique something and still believe that you can do better than it. The issue with standardization is that people are diverse. And so if I'm only measuring your success based on one method, I ignore your genius in multiple other methods. The argument I like to make is, what I would just like is more diverse assessments that go beyond the existent methods of standardization. Because some kids who underperform in the existing standardized method of assessment would actually surpass the expectations if the assessment was more complex and focused on orality and performativity as a method of success, of identifying your mathematical knowledge. And so the belief that that standard is the ultimate benchmark is the problem, but I can surpass it.